Everybody, sorry, I didn't think my live stream was actually I thought I was gonna try to do it all vertical. I'm like, no, flip it horizontal. I need the space around me. I'm coming to you. It's December 26th. It's a rare example of it being December 26th and me not working. I feel like I actually work more frequently on December 26th than on Christmas, which is kind of strange considering I work a job that has its busiest day on Christmas. Anyway, so I want to show to you some of the odds and ends I got that I'm now realizing I just left a bunch of them over here, so I'm going to have to get up for a second. But I want to show you some of the things I got for Christmas. Both Christmas Eve, when I was visiting my wife's family, and then we had our own Christmas morning before I shuffled off to work. Got off work, came home, crashed out for about 10 hours, and now here we are the next day. Somewhat more energized than I was yesterday, but not a lot. And what I have to show you breaks down into two groups. So actually the first things that I'm going to show you I have right here, but the other ones are right over here, so I actually have to step away for a second. I mean, literally just a second. It's just all right over here. Is this everything? Oh, no, that's I'll place them down on the floor so you can't see them, so that the surprise remains. And, alright. I'm back. How you doing? So, first things first, I didn't have too much that I desired for this Christmas, but there were a few little odds and ends I wanted to get. In terms of things that are really going to have a monumental effect on my channel, those are things that are a little bit more expensive and a little bit further down the road in terms of certain things I want, so I wasn't asking for big things like that because it just didn't fit with the whole Christmas season. But there was a succession of smaller things that I really wanted, in particular to help me with my channel. And I'll get started with this. So, when I opened this, even though I knew I asked for it, I started opening the present and I was looking at it and I'm like, and I'm even unfolding it and I'm like, what is this? What is this thing? And then because I'm like, is this a tablecloth? Totally forgetting that I asked for this. And that, which I have obtained, is a green screen that I can open up and I can let dangle down. Probably should open it up to give it a little space to breathe. And this will be something that I can have, that I can, obviously, when I'm doing projects at home, I can put this up in the background. Obviously it doesn't apply to right now because it's just a live stream, so I'm just putting it there. Hey, it's green, it's festive. And so I'll primarily have this for when I'm doing videos at home. In the past, I usually sat against this wall over here and I just kind of had this blank wall behind me while I'm doing videos. And so this gives me the option of putting something behind me. In terms of doing green screen, I feel like I've been pretty successful the few times that I have done it for various videos. Namely, the one I just did about the origins of KPTV. Any of those videos, or any of those visuals is probably a better way to put it. Any of those visuals where you have the picture of a TV and then I project something on the screen, those are literally all just pictures where the screen itself is a green screen, so I can put an image in there and make it look like it's on TV. So this is just a simple little purchase, an easy Christmas gift for in the future, whenever I want to be able to project something behind me, then yeah. Sorry, what was that? The sound of that rain was like I don't know what you're hearing, because it's definitely not raining out there. Is there something wrong with my audio? Or maybe my phone's just hearing things that I'm not hearing. I don't know. It might be. static of some kind. I hope not. I don't know. So that is present number 1. And so I got 2 of these. In particular, one will be more for probably indoors, helping light content that I do from inside. The last 2 times that I've tried doing that, I've literally just pulled our just stand-up light that we have by our door in front of me, and you know, it lights things up, but it gives you that kind of harsh yellow light that nobody, in particular a filmmaker, ever wants to deal with. So I have one of these for the inside, and one of them will be more that I use outdoors if I'm in a dark place. Either I'm walking around vlogging at night, it will provide light without me having to use the light on my phone. Or maybe if I'm like exploring in a dark place and I'm videoing what's in front of me, I can have it hitting that. So I have 2 lights, and you know, I looked these up, and I just put them on my list. And as of this moment, I don't exactly remember which one. Obviously, I'll go back and look. I don't remember exactly which one is for. I'm pretty sure this one is for indoors, and then this is the one I want for outdoors. So there are 2 lights. Each one has the capability of clasping onto selfie stick, clasping onto your phone, you know, whatever your situation requires. And they're both fully charged because they both come with USB cords to, right in the face, to charge when you're, yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Let me try something real quick. Sorry, I'm gonna get out of here real quick. So I don't know. Hold on. You know what I'm gonna try to do? Because I'm not certain what this sounds like, despite the descriptions. I'm literally going to turn my live stream on my computer right now so I can hear what you guys are hearing. Get a feel. Never a dull moment. I'll be back. Just enjoy, you know, the beauty of my green screen. And it's a live stream. It's a very off-the-cuff live stream, so, you know, it is what it is. Of course, it wouldn't pop up right away, even though I'm literally live streaming. Okay. Nope. I appreciate the ad, but it's not what I want right now. Okay. Now, okay, well, I'm hearing what you're hearing. Now I'm hearing myself from a little earlier. It does, yeah. I hear what you guys are hearing. I'm not sure where it's coming from. It may literally, because I've noticed, my iPhone is not the, okay, well now I'm still hearing my voice on that. Get rid of that. Anyway, what it very well might be, because I've noticed the last couple of times I've included video with, like just a video like this with one of my documentaries where I'm actually like using a mic and getting, good quality audio. I've noticed recently when I interject clips with this camera, and usually the sound on my iPhone is just fine. It's felt a little muffled and a little goofy recently, so it may honestly be just a matter of like I need to kind of clean out around where my microphone is. So that very well may be part of the issue. There could be some buildup there that's messing with it, because I've noticed the sound is not quite been right on my phone. It could be something else. I'm not dead certain. Maybe when this live stream is over, I may just do some test clips on my phone and just see if there's anything similar to that going on. But for now, unfortunately, we're going to process, uh, despite that noise. Where did I put the other lights? Now I've already lost one of my Christmas gifts. Where did I put that infernal device? Granted, I am often losing things that are right in front of me. It is what it is. What? Yeah, this is. I've just started this thing and it's already just a train wreck. Oh, yeah. How you doing? It was right here the whole time. It was just turned white side down, so it just blended in. Anyway, story of my life. But anyway, so I'm pretty sure this is for when I'm videoing indoors, and this is the one I would be using outdoors. And they're both fortunately charged. You know, when I saw that they have a charger coming with them, I was like, I bet you they're probably dead. Um, but you got this on the side. Get ready to get blasted. Bunch. Lights on. Blurring you out. I'm assuming, again, I've just now opened these, so I haven't had time to fiddle with them, but I'm assuming this is maybe the battery level, because there's just three. Well, there were four, now there's three. So I'm assuming with both of these there is a difference in, you can change the levels, because I see a plus or a minus, so yeah, it's definitely a growth and a decrease in the light. So obviously you have something to play with. And here, I don't know what this is yet. We're going to find out together. I'm not sure, it's not really doing anything. And this. It also might be something you have to put down. Oh, okay. So that can change the, so I'm wondering if this is what makes it more white. Okay, so there's, you have a, you can transition from a more almost bluish white light to a more yellow light. So there's options. I'm sure I saw all of this when I first bought these, but I mean, I found them, I put them on my list, and I've just been working and dealing with so many other things since then. So there's a lot about these that I've forgotten already. So here's the other one. Again, I'm pretty sure this is the one that I would put on my light. Oh my light, Jesus. Did I sleep enough last night? I would put on my camera, and when I'm going out and about, slightly smaller light, but you know, gives me the light that I need, and you can see it gives you light in your like immediate surrounding area. And I want to say there's some buttons on the side, but I'm not dead certain. Well, I know if you hit the power button, that's what changes the brightness, and then eventually you get to strobing. Probably, now that I'm thinking about it, if somebody's watching this with epilepsy, they probably don't want to see that. But anyway, that's, so I have something for multiple different situations, different locations, places where if I need some light, it's there, and I'm not exclusively relying on the light on my phone, which obviously if I'm relying only on that, if I want to film my face, you're not going to see anything if I'm in an extremely dark area. So there's those, the green screen, and simply put, and this will probably become my primary stick that I use when I'm out vlogging. I currently have my phone on the one that I've had for years. Obviously, I had to put my phone on something. So this is a new selfie stick for me. You can flop that out, and then this is where you put the phone on. You just point this up, put this up, and then you can clamp your phone in between the two and do your thing. And this whole setup allows you can go up and down, and if you loosen this little piece here, you can go side to side. Sorry, not this one. You can do this, you can go side to side. There's even, you can connect a remote to it. I know it's very small, very hard to see, but you can connect a remote to it. There's a power button there for that. So it's got mobility, but the primary reason I got this is a few different reasons. One is I wanted to have two of these because I wanted to be able, God forbid, put my mic, this is if I'm doing vlogging at home. I needed something to put my phone on, but I also need something to put my microphone on. Believe it or not, the last two videos I did, I literally had my, I literally, right in the middle here, this little, where is it? I think it was right in here, right in the handle. I just slipped my, my recorder, my audio recorder, I just slipped it in there, and it holds there itself, but it literally just sits there, and then I just get it as close as I can before it's in the shot. That's how I've been picking up audio. And I mean, it's worked well, but it's not exactly a permanent solution to a problem. So I'm going to transition this stick that I have my phone on now into more the audio stick, and this will become more the stick that I use when I'm vlogging, because in addition to having, you know, mobility like this, which lends benefits to capturing audio, I got it more for video. This is also taller than this selfie stick, even though I'm only 5'9". Most selfie sticks I've owned that you can even put on a tripod, they always get up to like here on me. They never quite, so a lot of times when I put it on a selfie stick, I'm always like a little bit above it, and I have to kind of tilt the phone back to get an even view of my face. This one is a few inches taller than that one, so I can get it up to level with my face when I'm standing. And in addition to that, it also has, because this one has very, like, the tripod legs they're each like this long. It's very tiny. So 5-10 mile an hour wind hits you if you're outside and you have this on the tripod and it starts tilting, it wants to fall over. So I wanted one that has a much wider stance at the bottom, so that if there is a little bit of a breeze, I can set this up and know that that wind is not going to just knock it over. I've encountered that a few times out and about with this one. So there's multiple benefits to having just another little selfie stick. Nothing too crazy. So those are some of the purchases I made in terms of items that I specifically will use with my camera, with my audio, when I'm here, when I'm out and about. But beyond that, and I mentioned this in a post I did when I bought some books a couple months ago, I want a lot more history books. And I got them. I didn't even remember asking for this many books. I just did a succession of searches. There were a few books I knew about that I really wanted to get. And the one thing I'm saving for the end was like, this is like the creme de la creme of everything I bought. And I just stumbled onto it by chance. I was actually looking for a more simple paperback version of it. And then I saw this and I was like, and it's going for like $24 or something. And I was like, well, I want that. I put an asterisk next to here, like, all of these books, they are second to this. I want this. I don't even know if I'm really ever going to read it, but I want this because it's such a awesome piece of history, and really great pieces of history, if they're even available to buy, are sometimes not that affordable. So anyway, I'm going to go through some of the things I found and got for Christmas. So I want to do these two together. Not that they're not related in any way. They're written by different people at different times, but it's just convenient that one pretty much lends itself into the other in terms of the time period that they cover. And the general appearance of them is not all too different, but I saw this and I was like, this seems so cool. And it's appears to be more of a memoir than like a history book. And it's called I Remember Portland, and you can see it covers the period primarily 1899 to 1915. And there's even, like, it was given to somebody as a present once upon a time in May of 1989. I was not even 4 years old yet. And, yeah, it looks like it's a fairly short book, but I think it chronicles one's experience in Portland during this time, which is great. I love, in particular in terms of Portland history, I love, like, the first half of the 20th century. You know, up 1900 to 1950, in particular the 20s and the 30s. I really love that history. So this takes us to the period of 1915. And this is a book that I have wanted so bad. There are so many resources that I've used for videos that have this as a primary reference. So I'm like, well, I need to get it so I can start using it as a primary reference when necessary, and it fills in that period of time. And that is The Growth of a City by, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, E. Kimbark McCall. Power and Politics in Portland, Oregon, 1915 to 1950. So it picks up right where the other book left off. Again, written by different people, probably covering different things, but the time period that they cross over is 1915. So just a coincidence. Very thick book. I've wanted this so much. And you can see it's just full of info, full of pictures, just everything I could ask for. And it covers not just this period of time that I love, but power and politics. You know they're going to be talking about a lot of stuff that I'm really into in this book. And I guarantee I'm going to find things in here that either I haven't heard of before or don't know a lot about, and I'll get a little bit more information, and maybe, I'm sure there will be a succession of videos that either come entirely from things in this book or inspired in part by things at least referenced in this book. So that was a big one. Alright, the next one, because I own a lot of the books that the late historian J.D. Chandler has written either entirely by himself or with someone else, and I don't have Portland on the tape yet, which very much ties into, I'm assuming to a degree, some of what's covered in The Growth of a City, which covers the time period of 1915 to 1950, because this covers that time period of, I don't know the exact, I've glanced at this before, but a lot of what is covered in here, this is a lot of like 40s and 50s history, which makes sense. Portland's mayor during the 40s was Earl Riley. He was very corrupt. A whole massive city corruption scandal broke in the 1950s. And there are some stories in here that I've wanted to read and learn more about. The death of Frank Tatum, the murders of Pierre Schultz and Roman Podless, Joanne Dewey. I know I've looked into some of this stuff in the past, but it's been some time and I honestly don't really remember much of what I saw or found. So, and this is by J.D. Chandler and J.D. Fisher, who, they both collectively, there's 4 episodes on, I believe, J.D. Chandler's YouTube, where they dive into unsolved murders, and a couple of those cases are cases I've covered, namely the 1885 murder of Emma Merlotin they cover in an episode, and I know they cover the 1922 murder of Martha Gratke, and I discovered those cases literally for the first time by watching their videos. So they have 4 episodes up there, and they maybe would have done more, but unfortunately J.D. Chandler passed away. But they, him and J.D. Fisher both did those episodes together, and I go back very frequently to watch those just for fun. And, oh, sorry, my wife just texted me. She said, I think I'm going to make it. It's a Christmas miracle. My guess is she was concerned she was going to be late to work. All right, sorry. The pile's getting lower, so I'm having to bend over more. Okay, so here, see, here's another. So I've stumbled onto the name E. Kimbark McCall a few times, and I know he's well respected in terms of Portland history. Well, here I've got a piece by another respected local historian who I've stumbled onto many times just in research, Carl Abbott, and this is Portland in 3 Centuries. So, obviously, I mean, I'm assuming that title references the fact that Portland started in the 1800s, breezed on through the 1900s, and here we are in the 21st century. I saw that, and I was like, okay, we've got ourselves, a book covering, pretty much the bulk of, Portland's history. I'm already, near the beginning here, I'm seeing references to the native population that was originally here. You've got early maps. Stumptown, I mean, the name Stumptown stems from the early years of Portland and all the trees that got turned down for a date, I guess, torn down. And so I was really excited to see that and say, like, okay, here's an author that I've also been interested in as a local historian and seeing some of what he's written. And I know he's written, like, articles that are on the Oregon Encyclopedia. Like, I've stumbled onto his work multiple times, but never actually owned a complete work that he has written. And this was the first book I got. New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, when I was opening gifts, and I don't remember if I think I only got one book that night, and the other books I got were Christmas morning. And this is the one I got on Christmas Eve. And gets at the heart of someone who I really respect and am really interested in learning more about. And this is Beauty of the City, A.E. Doyle, Portland's Architect, written by Philip Niles. That's a name I've stumbled onto a lot, is A.E. Doyle. He's responsible for some of the best architecture in the city of Portland, and he's just very influential in that regard anyway. And with my very first, sorry, I can't really show you that well at this angle, but my very beginning of this is actually the YouTube channel I had before this one. The very first videos I did, the main focus of my content when I initially started was I wanted to focus on just looking at places. And at that time it was primarily buildings. I had just developed a love of old architecture. I was walking through downtown and just taking pictures of all these old buildings, most of the time not knowing anything really about them. And so I very much was kind of into that vibe, that my channel was very much about just taking in some of this beautiful architecture. And I, find a detail or two to, include. Oh, here's the so-and-so building. It was built at this time. It had this business in it. This big event happened there. Things like that. And my channel progressed from there, but that was very much how it started. It was very much just trying to take in a lot of Portland's architecture of the time. And fortunately, I got a lot of videos and photo of buildings that, as of now, 2025, are no longer here. So even in my humble beginnings, A.E. Doyle was someone that popped up. And perfect transition, while I'm talking about the things that we've lost, I also, for Christmas, got, and this is something I keep seeing pop up and I've really wanted to get at some point, so I was like, well, Christmas, here's a perfect opportunity. Lost, Portland, Oregon, by, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Val C. Ballastrom. I know the name, I've seen it around, and I've seen this book pop up so many times, and I'm fascinated by what is here and what is no longer here, and I'm sure by going through this book I will find even more places that were here that either I haven't heard about, or if I had heard about them, maybe I haven't seen what they looked like before, or I don't know the circumstances of why they're no longer here. And so this was always something that was kind of sitting there, something I really wanted to get at some point. And one of the things I love, one of my favorite, is purely selfish, my favorite lost buildings in Portland is actually on the cover, and it's this simple little building here, because I first discovered pictures of this building after my trip to New Orleans, where I fell in love with the French Quarter. And if you look, I don't know how to get the light hit it, but there's just literally on the second floor here, there's just this little like balcony, and it's very ornate. It's a very much a French Quarter looking balcony. Not common to Portland at all, so it really sticks out. And I found a few other pictures. I know Minor White took pictures. A lot of them were from right across the street, so right where this building once was. And you got the Hawthorne Bridge in the background, so none of this is around anymore. I mean, a lot of times, the Morrison Bridge, literally, a couple city blocks of buildings got completely wiped out, and of course, some of that had been wiped out in the 40s to build Harbor Drive, but when they put the present-day Morrison Bridge in, not just the bridge coming off and having to split in two, so one would go to Alder and one would go to Washington, but you had these wrapping around off-ramps. So a couple blocks just lost whatever buildings were still there at that point. All right, so I'm down to my last two books. And this is one I forgot I even asked for, but once I pulled it up, I was like, oh, right. These last two are things that I've more recently been I've been using more consistently in the last year and a half or so as resources because they're older history books that get into much better detail about what was going on, primarily in 1800s Portland. And this was one of my primary resources for the really long video I did about the early history of Portland's schools and how the school system developed. And it covered the time period primarily of 1847 to 1891. And this was written in 1890, so it cuts off right around the same time that I did. But the full title, because I know some is just referred to as the History of Portland, Oregon, because no one had written a comprehensive history of Portland up to this point. As a whole, it is. Oh, hi. Oh, thank you so much. I wasn't even expecting a super chat, but thank you so much. Right as I went to lift my book up, I saw that. Also, sorry if I'm missing comments. They pop up and are gone in like 5 seconds. So if I'm like looking at my book or reaching around for stuff, I'm missing them. So I apologize. I wish they would at least, kind of like when you look at it on your computer, they would at least have a listing here, but they'll just pop up and then be gone really quick, and I don't even know they were there. And then I'll come back later and they'll be like, you had like 47 comments, and I saw like 3 of them. When did all of that happen? While you weren't watching. So anyway, again, everybody who's here, thank you so much for watching, and any comments I'm missing, my apologies. I'm too busy reading, apparently. But this big, thick behemoth of a book is in full. History of Portland, Oregon, with illustrations and biographical sketches of prominent citizens and pioneers. So it's a combination book. The first portion is the history, but like this, like where does it even start? Somewhere in here. Like this portion is like biographical sketches on people, and then this part up here is more history. And it was written by Harvey Whitefield Scott, who was not a great person. Very he was very anti-women's suffrage, which is so funny because his sister was Abigail Scott Duniway, probably Portland's most famous women's suffragist, but he was like very against public schooling. His attitude was like, well, I managed to get this education on my own, so everybody should. Not really understanding that not everybody is born with the same advantages or living in the same circumstances, so on and so forth. He was also avidly against, this was a very interesting thing I found. He was against, like, exposing local political corruption. What? But he was also the head guy at the Oregonian for a long time. And in all fairness, he was a hell of a historian, at least in terms of documenting history. And I don't remember who the company is that publishes the books that they look like this. We've all, if we do book shopping, we've all seen books that have the general appearance that this one does. This is in the public domain, which I'll actually get to, or I wanted to get to. Yeah, so I'm trying to see. CBS International. Trying to see who this company is. I'm sure I've seen it, I just don't remember. I'm seeing it in here. And anyway, but because I know the book that I have. Oh, thank you. See, I barely caught that super chat right there, right at the last second. Thank you. So what was I saying? No, so the book that I bought about, it was the book that Charles Peugeot wrote, Pearls at Random Strung, which was kind of this wild but fascinating take that he had in terms of how to live a good life and how to be in great health. And he rambled about how you just need to eat bananas all the time. I know there was other things, but that was one of the things he would ramble on about, is if you just keep eating bananas, you'll be in great health. And it was put out by this same company, like it had this same general look. Obviously a different image here, and I think this was in yellow. And the thing about these books is a lot of them, they're literally, the copy that you get And I love this, even though it's kind of, it's a mess at times. The copy that you get is literally, it's pretty much like photocopied from a very old version, like an early edition of that book. And that's how Pearls at Random Strung was. I could see like the imperfections. And this book is the same way. And I think that very much ties into the fact that it's, I mean, it literally says right here, it references how it's in the public domain. So it's interesting because I feel like this is the books, like a book's version of like public domain people churning out content. I've obviously covered in videos in the past. I've had my public domain VHS videos that I've done, and I've talked at length about how these companies would get their hands on all this public domain content, in that case, movies, TV shows, cartoons, and sometimes you never knew how good the quality was going to be. They got whatever they got whatever they could get, and then just churn them out, and try to make a quick buck off of it. And I feel like this is very comparable to that. Like, they got their hands on a version of literature that is old enough that it is in the public domain. Because again, this was originally written in 1890. And they just ran off copies of whatever version they could get. They didn't get somebody to put out like a clean new copy of it. Somebody would have to sit forever and retype all this. So you can see, even when you open it, you can see kind of the dated appearance, even though the book's in good shape. And hi! And there's parts, like even when you look at the first page, like obviously if somebody's having trouble with eyesight, this is not fun and probably sucks. But you can even see, like when you're looking at the chapters, you can see some of it's like the legibility is just not great, because it's printed off, it's just run off of an old copy of this book. So some people would buy this and be like, what the hell? And I mean, I admit that I love this. That's just me personally. Yeah, I'm sorry. For those of you that just got here, I'm having some audio issues with this. I think it may have something to do with the mic on my phone, because I've noticed videos I've recorded have been a little muffled and a little weird recently. I also have not really checked, because so much of the video that I've been doing recently, like I'll go out and shoot the video, but it's background so I haven't really been, but then recently I've been doing more content at home where I've been recording on video, but I've been also recording with my microphone, so you're getting the really good microphone audio instead of this. So that's what I think is going on, and I mentioned earlier that when I'm done, I'm probably going to do some test recordings with this. It's an older iPhone. I'm going to need to get a new one eventually, but it's something I want to check, and for all I know, it could just be something with the live stream. But yeah, it seems like from the get-go, people have been saying it sounds like there's just a torrential rainstorm going on, and I can definitely hear it raining, but it's very soft. Like, I'm only really hearing it because I can hear like drops hitting the carport outside. So it's like probably drizzling outside, but to some of you, or I guess all of you, it sounds like it's just like. But yeah, fortunately, I'm staying nice and warm and dry in here, and it's pretty quiet to me. I feel like I'm speaking louder since I've noticed that, because I'm trying to yell over the static. But yeah, and this is, I mean, and I've said, I don't love the practices that some public domain distributors have used, because they'll take advantage of people. They'll try and, they'll take something that they know is not great quality and throw it out there and try to take advantage of a public that maybe doesn't know about it. And so one of the things that I love in particular about this book, I feel like this is the most kooky public domain aspect of this book, besides the fact that it's obviously just like a one-off photocopy, is, I'm trying to find a really good example. Like, the pages don't even necessarily match in terms of size. There are instances where one page is just noticeably, it's printed at a smaller font than the one next to it. And I'm trying to find a good example, because I was finding a whole bunch of them on Christmas when I was kind of going through this. But even beyond that, some of these pages aren't even centered properly. Some of them are slightly crooked in how they're printed, because again, it is a photocopy. Somebody's copying all these images. One's a little crooked, They're maybe trying to rush through it. I'm not finding a good example, or at least one that's probably going to be very distinguishable to you guys. Um, yeah. But there's lots of drawings in here too of famous Portlanders, some of which the names I don't even recognize. So I'd be interested in seeing what they're all about. Um, W. Spalding. I'm assuming the Spalding building is named after him. Who's that guy that just passed? Again, because this is such an old book and it's printed off of an old copy, there's names in here I can't even fully read with some of the pictures that I've seen. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, you can sometimes. Oh, I think you can kind of see it a little bit on this. I mean, if you look at it, this page is in full size. It's just a little bit smaller than this one. It's very negligible. Like the difference is like maybe half a centimeter in terms of size, but if you're holding it, you can see it. Like even if you look at the bottom, you can kind of see how this page is a little bit further down than this one. So there's those little imperfections that really lend itself to like, yes, this was definitely a public domain produced book. And that brings me to the last thing, at least the last thing related to my channel, because I got some clothes that I desperately needed, but that doesn't really tie into my channel all that much. This is the item that I mentioned earlier that I found on eBay, and I was very passively. I was like, I'm probably not going to find this at all for a price less than a couple $100 probably. And I found one for like $24, and I put it on my list, and I said, buy this, buy this, buy this. It was like a stock that couldn't fail, and I got it, and it is still in the wrapping. I'm not even going to take it out of its wrapping here. I'm going to actually figure out exactly what I'm going to do with this to keep it protected and in good shape, and until I figure that whole situation out, it is going to remain in the wrapping that it came to me in. That being said, so I'll try to give you a close look at it because it is going to be shiny because it's wrapped up in like saran wrap. This is an original 1911. I can't even see because it did come out in a few different volumes, and I honestly don't care which volume it is because I'm not even really planning on using this as a primary resource to actually thumb through. And I can find this, like literally this whole series is available on like Wikipedia, Internet Archive. I can find it on my computer and look it up anytime. This is more to just have a piece of history. I did a video a while back on all of the pieces of history that I've got my hands on, old bricks from buildings, a piece of cast iron from the Ancient Order of the United Workmen Temple. I think that's the first time I've gotten the whole name out without stumbling. So I have these very old pieces, and I'm starting to build up this collection of local history books, but a lot of them are reprints, later versions, and some of them are just newer books that aren't that old yet. But I now have to add to it a piece from Joseph Gaston, if I'm pronouncing his name right, Portland, Its History and Builders. This is an original 1911, that's when he released this. This is a original 1911 release of that. And I know it says volume, I can't see the number. So there were 3 volumes. I hope it's volume 1, just because that's the one that's most history-centered. One of them is more biographical sketches, and one of them, I believe, is like his centennial history, which is still a good one to have. You can get the whole series. I found for like maybe about $150. If you're lucky, maybe there's someone out there selling it for cheap or cheaper. It's even got this cool, almost kind of flower. It's almost psychedelic when you look at it. And again, I apologize. It's kind of hard to make it out under all the plastic, but there you can really see it. It's psychedelic to a degree. And again, eventually, when I figure out exactly what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to open it up. The pictures of it on eBay, like, they showed it open. Like, you're not going to open it up and the whole thing's just going to crumble to pieces. So it is in good enough shape that you can actually thumb through it. Again, I probably will, but to a limited extent. So yes, Portland, Its History and Builders. I've used this extensively in covering earlier Portland history, just like even more so this than the Harvey Whitefield Scott book. But again, this was written about 20 years later. There's more history, and they're very comparable in how they cover history. Each chapter, it's not really just linear. Each chapter more focuses on a certain thing. Or like a certain, like one might focus on like early commerce, one might focus on it as a history as a port city, one will focus on its history of schools, its history of churches, its history of various, any kind of business that was successful here, like a fruit business or something like that. So I am going to crack this open at some point. I may even briefly go on for a live stream when I do that for you guys, but this was the one thing that I was like, if all else fails, please drop your 24 bucks and get this for me, please. And I got it. And it was one of the last presents I opened, and I was like, God, this is the. And like the moment I got this set in my lap and I could feel just the raw weight of it, I was like, this is the book. And really, I mean, it's in amazing shape for being 114-ish years old. Its only imperfection is really on the outside is right here. You can see it's like a little rip there. A little bit damaged, but not terrible. So I'm really, really excited about this. That is not to minimize these other items I got, but I've never really had an old book like this, and especially one that pertains to what I focus on this channel. So this is more just to have and to own and to hold and covet. Whereas these others that I obtained, like these are actually to be used in what I'm doing. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank God I love doing what I do. I'm one of those people, if I don't like what it is, I'm going to find something new to do. But my love of making film, my love of just being creative in general, and my love of history in general that has expanded considerably in terms of local history has made even the exhausting weekends or, final day, I gotta have the video done tonight, I'm gonna have to work on this for 12 hours, I can't work on this anymore. It even makes those days completely worth it. And I just, there's no assortment of things to cover. And I've had so many ideas given to me over time, and a lot of the videos I've done, the motivation has stemmed from somebody mentioned it to me, and I'm like, that could be a good video. And maybe I put it aside for a couple of months, and then I'll come back to it and be like, oh man, I'm so ready to do that now. There are some video ideas I jump right on that I find it, and that week I'm working on it. And then there's other videos, like the video I did on the 1873 fire. I started editing that like 2 years before I finished it. It just kept being something that I was like, I don't want to dive in entirely on such a significant event in history if I'm only doing it just to get the video done, So I'm very excited. I showed you in a previous video the number of local history books I've already obtained to this point, and now I have these to add to them. And I really want to just go through some of these. Not all of them. Like this, I think, is, I don't know when this was originally written, but I think this was published in 1979, I believe it said. Written by Lawrence Pratt. Maybe I should look that name up. Oh no, originally written in 1965. This is a second edition that was put out in 1977. So this book itself, which is in amazing shape, is from 1977. But this was originally written in 1965. So, does it? So yeah, so my guess, written in 1965, is probably kind of like my Bernard Freeman video I did, where he wrote this extensive look back at his life that, again, I think a lot of things were exaggerated, if not made up. But he wrote all of that at the end of his life. Even as he published it, he acknowledged, I'm 81 years old now. So he wrote this when he was like 80, 81 years old, looking back at his life. So considering this book was written in 1965, 50 years after the period that this book covers ended, I'm assuming, it's obviously somebody who's probably at the end of their life, and maybe this is them like remembering, obviously, their younger years growing up in Portland. and it's written by a Lawrence Pratt. And I want to say there's someone famous named Pratt in Portland. Maybe this is that person. Maybe this person knows that person. I can't say for certain. That's part of the fun, is I have all of this stuff to go through now, and I'm gonna discover a lot of cool, fun things along the way, which that is part of it. The thing that I love the most about making videos, more than the elation I feel when one is finished, the editing process, writing the voiceovers, getting a chance to write and say everything in my own words. My favorite part is after I've gathered all the resources I'm going to use, and then I start doing my note taking, because that's when I'm actually reading and learning the history. And a lot of these things that I cover, I go into them with sometimes a minimal, a very limited knowledge about what I'm ultimately going to be covering. And during that time is where I really learn everything about it. And I am working right now as we speak. Once this is done, I'm going to leap right back on my computer and get back to work on it. I am doing the first video. I'll let you guys know. I've been trying to remember to post more frequently, like a little posting saying, this is what I have coming up this week. In the past, I always liked it to be a surprise, but the fact of the matter is, you're going to draw more people in if they know something's coming ahead of time. I'm currently working on part 1 of what I'm pretty certain is going to be a 4-part series. I'm not going to do all 4 videos in a row because I would lose my mind. And I'm just dropping that little hint, clue, whatever you want to call it, right now, just letting you know that I'm working on part 1 right now. It's something that I've always wanted to cover and have covered to a degree, to a very small level. And it's something that I was always kind of intimidated about coming back to, because I knew it was going to be something. It was either going to be a multi-part series, or it was going to be one video that was going to be like 3.5 hours long or something. And now we just got through Christmas. After New Year's, things are going to slow down a bit at my day job, and I want to really dive into these big things that maybe I've held back from in the past. So I'm working on part 1 of that. You'll know what it's all about very soon if the mild hints I just gave haven't already given it away, or at least given you a good idea of what's coming. Hello, hello, as I'm about to leave, because I'm about to depart, because I've already gone through all of my everything that I came here to cover. So I want to let you guys know what I got, and I haven't done a live stream in a while. I used to do live streams a lot because I would just kind of do random stuff, and I used to live stream my walk to the bus or to the Max if I was working late. I don't work that late very often. Last night I closed at work on Christmas. I never close. I think it's like the second time I've closed at work in the last like year and a half. But I like celebrating Christmas in the morning. Some people don't, so I actually was like, please have me close on Christmas. Everything will be fine. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed me popping on here real quick to let you see what I got. A few items that are actually going to help me in terms of producing. I was anticlimactic. Producing content, and a few items that are going to help me on the other side of things in terms of putting all the information together that is going to lead to that content. So that is all I really have to say. Happy New Year to you too. It's only a few days away. Oh my God, it's going to be 2026. That can't be real. Anyway, Happy New Year to you all, and I hope you all had at least a pretty decent Christmas day. I know for some people Christmas is very difficult, so I don't want to just be like, I hope everybody had an 11 out of 10 on Christmas, because for some people just getting through Christmas is the battle, and it's not always great for people. So I hope anybody that's been struggling to get through this period of time, I hope you at least were able to make it through with the least amount of stress. I guess I might as well mention it before I go. I didn't really know if I was going to mention this, but I feel like I should, just because, again, I was talking earlier about my origins and kind of how my channel started. Those of you that watch content frequently, probably, or depending on what you watch, if you watch content I don't know if you can hear it through the static. Someone's dog's losing it outside. Anyway, at first I was like, what the hell is that? Anyway, if you watch content it involves exploring around, visiting new places, documenting places, you probably heard a few days ago that Adam the Woo passed away. Um, and I mean, he's had really close friends that have explored with him, who I can just tell are just broken beyond comprehension with that. And it shocked me. I watched Adam the Woo religiously for a few years, and in recent years, not as much, mainly just because, well, I mean, I spend so much more time working between my day job and, I mean, just working on content. I'm really not watching as well, not really the variety of content that I used to on YouTube. And a lot of what I'm putting on, especially if I'm putting it on in the background when I'm working on stuff, is usually things I've seen before. But I watched Adam the Woo so continuously for years. My wife turned me on to him. A lot of the shows that I've watched a lot over the years, or even some YouTubers, it's usually my wife would be like, "Have you seen this? Have you heard of this?" And there was like two or three people that posted content on YouTube that were direct influences on me when I first started, and Adam the Woo was one of those. Because again, when I first started doing content, I was mostly just adventuring around, documenting certain places, and I feel like my therapy walks in particular were very much, obviously drastically different. I mean, he would have a vehicle, so he was traveling much greater distances than I was. Mine was more restricted to the Portland area, but I felt like my therapy walks were very much in line with like when he would be like, I'm traveling through this part of this state, or I'm visiting this area, and a lot of those videos, some of them would have a specific purpose, like looking at these buildings that are in this area, but he would, travel around and kind of just be like, I'm gonna go through here and I'm just gonna make discoveries. And he'd be like, oh, look at this building, that's cool. I remember he always loved seeing like old school soda signs, like a Pepsi or a Mountain Dew sign on like an old diner or cafe building. And so there was absolute influence on me early on with him, and my wife sent me this link along with this kind of shocked brief message, and it was the TMZ link. And so I see TMZ, and initially I'm thinking like, did Adam get in trouble? Like, is there a video of him doing something wrong? Because that's a lot of times TMZ. It's this exclusive video got caught at this, so I'm thinking like, ooh, is Adam in trouble? So then I click on the link, and it was like I felt my heart sink into my stomach because I wasn't expecting to see what I ended up seeing. And the moment I saw that, I was like, no, no, no. You have that immediate denial. Like, I don't trust this. I don't know if this is real. And did a quick, Google search around, and you start seeing all the other resources saying the same thing, and you realize slowly, like, this is a real thing. This isn't some rumor being spread around. So yeah, that definitely floored me as a channel that, again, I haven't watched as much over the years, but it's stayed with me. Like, I don't think of Adam the Woo and think of like, oh yeah, that guy that I watched a really long time ago. So that floored me, and I didn't really know if I was gonna. I mean, I wasn't gonna say anything unless I was in a situation like this, where I might have posted something, because I never knew Adam. I never even met him. I know he passed through Portland not too long ago, but suddenly that when I was talking, that popped into my head, and it started making me think. So that is such a horrible, shocking loss. And one of those things, like, no matter what the circumstances are, especially when it's someone you don't know, but you respect them from a distance, and then something like that happens, and the shock of it being so sudden, it really just, it can throw you, even as somebody who I can say, he inspired me, but I never knew him, and yet his passing has such a, a drastic, like, visceral, you feel it inside your body, kind of effect. So, I obviously my condolences are with his family. You know, I've seen, if we've watched his channel, we've all seen his family pop up there, so it's wild, because I can actually, like, think and see visually his family having to process this horrible, tragic loss, and especially around Christmas time. You don't ever want a horrible tragedy to happen around Christmas time. I mean, you don't want to have a horrible tragedy happen at all, but when major events like big holidays come around, you don't want to have to, you don't want to have a tragic memory attached to it. Um, so my heart goes out to, again, not just Adam DeLue's family, but I mean, there's other people I've watched regularly who were friends with him, who my heart goes out to. Most of us know at some point or another what it's like to suddenly lose somebody that's so insanely close to you. And it's impossible and it's unbearable until you can sometimes get to a point where it's at least bearable. So I just wanted to, like, the opportunity presented itself, and I just wanted to mention that, because it's the passing of someone who had such a significant effect on me and how I started. With that inspiration, had I gone a different way, I wouldn't necessarily be where I am now. So thank you, Adam, for the inspiration, and may you rest in peace. And so all that said, thank you so much for everybody who stopped by tonight. And I'll have a new video on Wednesday. And till then, wishing you the best during this complete holiday season. And hope you're doing pretty well as we gradually maneuver our way towards 2026. All that said, till next time, this has been Steve the Historian. I'll see you all later.